Hey, so here's the problem with eliminating substance. When you want to relate different things, you need them to be distinct. And in order for them to be distinct, there's something in the thing that has to be proper to that, and that's it. So there has to be something, for example, in the dog that is distinct from something in the cat, right? So once you have that core thing that is distinct in themselves, then you can make relations between them, right? And you can make analogies, and you can like analyze them, and you can rationalize it, and you can think about it, and you can do all the other things, right? And they can relate between each other because they are distinct being related, right? One can run after the other, whatever. Uh, if you take away that distinction in itself, what the thing is in itself, what is proper to that thing in itself, you run into a big problem, because then what are you relating? So the cat and the dog. Then you can't even speak about cat and dog. You can't speak about distinct things, because what is distinguishing them? You can, and you, if you run into, oh, it's the relation, but the relation of what? What is being related? What are the things that are relating to each other? You don't have each other. You don't have an each, right? So it is true that there's nothing that exists without being in relation. That is true. Like you can go as high as possible. You can go to God, right? To the one that is by its own act of being, or by its own very own act of existence, right? He's self-subsisting. He's the one who subsists by himself, right? You go there and you will find relation, right? But you will also find distinction. So at the highest level of analysis, you will always have distinction and relation being co-equal, being at the same level, with like you can't take one from the other. Now when you speak about created substance, you're speaking of something that is distinguished from the creator. So you have God, and then he creates. What is being created, it's a limitation in relation to that one God. And that limitation is distinct. So that very limitation of a, like the substance of a dog, the essence of a dog, is different from the limitation in relation to God of the distinction of a cat. Those are two different distinctions. Now, do they relate essentially, like naturally and by necessity, with air, with water, with like all the other things that they relate to? Yes, but who is relating with water? The cat, the dog, the that distinct essence is relating to water. What is water? It's a distinct, it has a distinct substance, a distinct essence in relation to God, right? So you need those anchor points. You can call them relata, but if you eliminate of relata what is proper to itself in itself, if you eliminate that, what is it that makes it different in itself? You don't have relation. So you don't have relata. If you do that, so if you say no, it's just all relation, and you don't have relata without relation, you don't have. It's like, okay, man, but you're destroying distinction. You're destroying distinction at the highest level. And if you destroy distinction, if you just take away distinction, and you just talk about pure relationality, that's just relativism. That's nihilism. That's destruction of identity. That's postmodernism. That's deconstructivism. So here's the thing. The problem that we had in the past, it's that we overemphasize distinction. So we overemphasize substance. We overemphasize concept. We overemphasized all of that, right? So we became an abstractionalist society. We became an individualized society. We became overemphasizing all identity, right? All specific identity. So national identity, personal identity, economic identity, racial identity, like we went that road. And the pendulum went to the other side. So we were like, no, 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 let's take that away. Let's destroy substance. Let's destroy distinction. Let's destroy nature. Let's destroy anything that speaks of a specific identity. And let's go into the pure relational, into just relation. Just it's all related. We're all one. We are all this one mush, right? A man, a woman, and like all these things. It doesn't matter. It's just all this one, all related. It's just relation. Well, that if you go that path, it's just nihilism. You go into into the very thing you're trying to fight. So, because at one moment identity and distinction was overemphasized, it doesn't mean that now we have to overemphasize relation to a crazy degree. Both are co-equal. They're not the same. They're distinct. But you need to keep them as co-equal and co-necessary for each other. And if you do that, then it's all good. And that's solved in the Most Holy Trinity. That's where that thing is solved. It's solved in the hypostatic union of Christ. It's solved in the Holy Virgin Mary. It's solved in so many ways within the tradition, right? That you don't need to start doing this crazy thing. Oh, let's eliminate Saint Thomas Aquinas. Let's eliminate Aristotle. No, you need to take them. You need to take what they were working on, and you need to integrate more aspects that they didn't put there. So, for example, uh, go further into the aspects of relation. Like, go deeper into the aspects of relation. They went deep into the distinctions. They really went hardcore into like proper distinctions and like, oh, that's great. You can't eliminate that. That's problematic. If you start eliminating those good distinctions, that's problematic. What you need to do is like go deep into relation, go deep in all the aspects of relations that were not understood, that were not touched upon, and just go there. That's fine. But you don't need to eliminate this. You can integrate it into a new higher thing. That's a possibility. For example, if you think of relation, because relation in the classical term is almost like uh, respectivism. It's like, what is this in respect to this other thing, right? So this is a father in respect to the son, and this is a son in respect to the father. So between father and son, you have two relations, right? In that understanding, relation is something towards another, and it's something in the thing. So the father is truly a father in himself, but being a father, it's being in himself something that is in relation to another. So it's also being something in another, right? That's what relation in the classical term means. But now there's something also that is the father, that is in between the father and the son. That is not the father and it's not the son, right? You have something that it's in between. So you have something that is inter them, like inter in between. It is inter them, and in that sense, a relation is one thing, right? It's one relation. You can say relationship, right? But that doesn't explain the whole thing, because what it's that one thing that is in between them, it's a new thing. It's like a third thing that it's not either of them, right? Like and that can happen with anything, like the relation that I have with my wife, or like what is in between us that is not her, it's not me, and it's not just me towards her or her towards me, but the whole thing as a unit. So you can analyze a relation as the in between things, right? As the third thing. And you can also analyze relation in terms of what is what am I, what are we as a unit, like together. For example, the wife and the husband are one flesh, right? So relation can also be seen not only as what is in between or what is towards another, but it could also be seen as what is this new unit. And in that sense, substance ontology can account for that. It doesn't mean that you don't need substance, because there's a level in which substance accounts for something that is true and real. So you don't need to eliminate it. Now you need to have an ontology that it's able to account for those new units, right? Like a unit of the husband and wife being one flesh, or the whole body of Christ being, like the whole church being one body. Many people, many souls being one body, right? That kind of unity is not a substance, right? You could say it's like a mega substance or like a hyper substance. Like you can come up with something, but when we're doing that, we are adding into this thing. We are adding a bit more into what was there, but we don't need to eliminate that. That's a problem. If you eliminate substance, you're eliminating the proper distinction that is allowing you to do the next connections, right? So you have the substance of me, for example, and then you have the substance of my wife, and we are relating in a specific manner such that we become one thing. But that oneness that we are individually includes our substance, includes that which makes us distinct. Without that distinction, you don't have the next distinction of unity. You don't have it. You just destroyed it. That's why I say that if you destroy substance, you destroy like proper relationality, and you run into nihilism, and you run into deconstructivism, and you run into all the issues that you're trying to fight. So you don't need to destroy substance. We just need a higher understanding of relation, a more profound understanding of relation, and we need a more profound understanding of this new aspects of relationality that create, kind of like create new aspects, new third things. But that's it. Like you don't need to destroy all. Like you don't need to destroy Aristotle. That's what Saint Thomas Aquinas did. Many people think of Saint Thomas Aquinas as like simply as a like an Aristotelian. Like he was just trying to explain the faith through Aristotle. That's bullshit. That's that's just not understanding what he was doing. That's taking away from Saint Thomas Aquinas all the church fathers that he knew, all the Bible that he knew, all his tradition in which he was integrated, all the Saint Dionysius Areopagite that he had in him. That destroying all the the Jewish thinkers and the Muslim thinkers that he had in mind, that he had in him, all the Neoplatonic understanding that he had in him. You're taking all that away to be like, no, he was just an Aristotelian. It's like, no, because in Aristotle you don't have transcendental relation, because you don't have participation, because he didn't believe in participation. He took that away from Plato, right, from the Platonic tradition. Well, Saint Thomas Aquinas kept that because he was like a big fan of Saint Dionysius the Areopagite. So he took Aristotle and the notion of act and potency, and he added, he united this participation ontology through the lenses of act and potency, so that something is active and something is passive, right? Something is acting upon, something is being acted upon. Something is acting upon something, and something is being acted upon. So he took all that categorical system of Aristotle, but he integrated within a Neoplatonic system, and that Neoplatonic system is integrated within an original Christian understanding. So you have substantial relations, for example, within the Holy Trinity. That wasn't there in Aristotle. That wasn't there in Neoplatonists, and that wasn't there. Well, it was there in Saint Dionysius. So, but it wasn't there in Aristotle. So Saint Thomas Aquinas, yes, he takes categories from Aristotle, but he lifts them up, right? There was no notion of spiritual potency in Aristotle, because he didn't have the whole angelic realm to deal with. Saint Thomas Aquinas had it, so he was able to speak about potency in a way that in about matter in a way that Aristotle didn't, like, he didn't account for all those aspects. So to think that you can just get rid of all of that, it's just insane, and it shows that you don't properly know those things. You just didn't study them. Like, you heard somebody speak about it and then you just hated on it, and it's usually straw man. Like, you don't have a being like an ens that doesn't have all the 10 categories. So there's no such thing as, like, oh, substance ontology means something is by itself, like a substance, like floating around. Like, that's not a thing. Every substance is substance, relation, action, passion, and all the things, quanta and ubi, and like all these other categories. They are always together. You don't have one by itself. You don't have substance by itself. That is a lie. It's just fake. It's a straw man. So when somebody makes that claim, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not Aristotle. That's not Saint Thomas Aquinas. That's just not. So I don't know what you're talking about. And again, distinction and relation are co-equal. Just like unity and multiplicity are co-equal. You can't have, no, it's the most important thing is multiplicity because God is multiple. It's like, yes, multiple persons. It's not multiple gods, right? So unity is also very important because it's just one God, right? So you can't be, oh, then unity is the most important thing. It's like, no, because that unity is multiple, right? So you need to have them both at the same level, in equilibrium, in balance, in justice, proper justice, right? Um, so yeah, man, that's all I wanted to say, and I really think this is very important, and I see problematic this whole hyper attention on relation, because we are creating hyperstructures, hyper materialist structures, and we are calling metaphysics something that is just mega structures, mega materialist structures. You can make them very thin, very whatever, very kind of like abstract, but it's just some weird relativistic materialism that in the end it's just nihilism. And somehow people are not being able to see it because you're so against certain things that you just destroy important things that shouldn't be destroyed. You're against Aristotle, so you just destroy things that shouldn't be destroyed. You're against the Catholic Church, so you destroy things that shouldn't be destroyed. It's insane. Like, we don't have to go there. Like, it's not a necessity to go there, and you don't have to be against a thing. You need to be pro God, pro truth, pro order, pro integrality or integrity, uh, pro coherence, pro balance, pro justice, pro love, all of that. You don't need to be against something. Like, you're gonna be against uh, by by just being pro that thing. You don't need to be actively against something because you usually run into issues. Because by being against something, you overemphasize something. Like, you have machismo, like macho, masculine-oriented society, and then you're like, I'm against that. Then you get feminism. It's like, you don't have to go there. You don't have to do the pendulum thing. You don't have to enter into the dialectical flattening of reality. Um, so yeah, I hope this helps, and much love, guys. Peace.